The Presidency and the Bureaucracy Introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we explore the dynamic relationship between the Presidency and the federal bureaucracy, a vast administrative network that keeps the U.S. government functioning day to day. Our journey will cover how presidents manage agencies, the divide between political and career staff, and the phenomenon of bureaucratic resistance. 1. Managing federal agencies. At the core of the executive branch lies the federal bureaucracy, agencies, commissions, and departments created by Congress to implement laws and deliver public services. While the president is the formal head of the executive, actual management involves layers of appointed leadership, budget control, and oversight mechanisms. Presidents appoint leaders of cabinet departments and agencies who align policy priorities with the administration's vision. Oversight also occurs through tools like executive orders and the budget powers of the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. But agencies are more than political instruments. They're complex organizations with long histories, internal cultures, and missions. They don't always bend easily to political directives. 2. Political versus career staff. A clear distinction exists between political appointees and career civil servants. Political appointees are named by the president, often confirmed by the Senate, and tasked with implementing new policies and setting direction. Career civil servants are selected through merit-based procedures and typically stay on across administrations, providing continuity and deep institutional knowledge. This dual structure ensures stability and expertise while allowing for political responsiveness. Yet it also creates tensions. Political leaders often push reforms or initiatives that career staff, with institutional memory and mission focus, may view as impractical or misaligned. Civil service protections, reinforced by reforms like the Pendleton Act and the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978, safeguard these civil servants from undue political removal. 3. Bureaucratic resistance. When political guidance clashes with bureaucratic routines and professional norms, resistance can emerge. It may take subtle or explicit forms: slow walking, delaying implementation via procedural red tape; interpretation, applying rules in ways that temper the impact of new directives; whistleblowing, exposing policies or actions seen as unethical or illegal; legal objections, raising internal concerns about the legality of political orders. Such resistance often reflects a long-term perspective. Bureaucrats may feel obligated to uphold the law and their agency's mission even when those clash with presidential priorities. In some cases, resistance safeguards against overreach. In others, it frustrates reformers. Oversight bodies, like the Government Accountability Office, GAO, the OMB itself, and bipartisan boards like the Merit Systems Protection Board, exist to provide checks and avenues for formal challenges. 4. Evolution of the U.S. bureaucracy. The U.S. bureaucracy began as a minimal institution. Over time, especially during industrialization and the Progressive Era, it expanded rapidly. Under figures like Woodrow Wilson, public administration emerged as a professional field. The New Deal and post-World War II policies added major agencies like the Social Security Administration, SEC, FDIC, and National Labor Relations Board, creating today's sprawling bureaucratic system of hundreds of thousands of employees, social, sci, libra-techs. This evolution created greater capacity for government action, but also a more powerful and resilient bureaucracy. 5. Theoretical framework. Weber's Model Max. Weber's ideal-type bureaucracy is hierarchical, rule-governed, merit-based, and impersonal, a form designed for efficiency and rationality. In practice, this model shapes how U.S. agencies structure operations, select staff, and define authority. Yet Weber also warned of the iron cage, a system where rigid rules stifle innovation and human freedom. Max Weber's model of bureaucracy. When we talk about the bureaucracy in the United States, or really in any modern state, we are drawing on concepts developed by Max Weber, a German sociologist writing in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Weber was interested in how large, complex organizations could function efficiently in a society that was becoming increasingly industrialized, urbanized, and interconnected. He argued that bureaucracies are the most rational and efficient form of organization for managing large-scale administrative tasks. By rational, Weber meant that decisions are made based on established rules and logical procedures rather than on personal whim, favoritism, or tradition. Weber's key characteristics of bureaucracy. Weber described an ideal type of bureaucracy, not necessarily a perfect reality, but a conceptual model of how a bureaucracy should operate if it were fully efficient and impartial. The main characteristics are hierarchy of authority. The presidency and bureaucracy maintain a delicate balance. Presidents must lead, innovate, and execute their agenda. At the same time, the bureaucracy brings subsistence, continuity, and expertise. Political appointees and civil servants each play vital roles and sometimes clash. Bureaucratic resistance can impede change, but it also defends legality and mission. Understanding this dynamic helps explain why presidential vision meets complex realities in executing public policy. Impersonality. Bureaucratic decisions are supposed to be based on objective criteria, not on personal relationships or political favoritism. The idea is to treat all clients, applicants, or cases equally, avoiding nepotism or special treatment. Merit-based hiring and promotion employees are selected and promoted based on qualifications and performance, not political loyalty or personal connections. In the U.S., this principle was institutionalized with the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act of 1883, which replaced the spoils system of political patronage with competitive examinations and merit rules. Career orientation. Bureaucrats typically view their work as a long-term career rather than a temporary job. This continuity allows for the accumulation of institutional knowledge and expertise that outlasts any single administration. Why Weber saw bureaucracy as superior. In Weber's view, earlier forms of administration, such as hereditary monarchy, aristocratic patronage, or rule by personal connections, were inefficient and prone to corruption. Bureaucracy, with its rules, hierarchy, and merit system, provided a predictable, stable, and reliable way of administering government and large organizations. Critiques of Weber's model. While Weber admired bureaucracy for its rationality, he was also aware of its dangers. He famously described the risk of the iron cage, a metaphor for the way that bureaucratic structures can trap individuals in systems of rigid rules and impersonal procedures. In other words, bureaucracies can become overly rule-bound, stifling innovation and flexibility. They can lose sight of their original purpose, focusing more on following the procedure than solving the actual problem. Decision-making can become slow and cumbersome, leading to what people call red tape. Weber's model in the U.S. federal bureaucracy. In the U.S. today, Weber's model explains much of how the federal bureaucracy functions. The hierarchical authority is clear in cabinet departments and agencies. Specialization exists in everything from environmental regulation to national defense logistics. Rules govern hiring, spending, and program implementation. Impersonality is embedded in laws requiring equal treatment. Merit-based systems are maintained through civil service protections. At the same time, critics argue that the bureaucracy has grown so large that Weber's iron cage problem is a real and persistent challenge. Services, one division might handle Medicare policy, another might oversee food safety, and another might manage public health research. Specialization increases efficiency and expertise. Formal rules and procedures. Decisions are governed by established rules, laws, and policies rather than by personal preferences. Rules ensure fairness and consistency, so similar cases are treated alike. In the federal bureaucracy, everything from hiring procedures to issuing a passport is defined by these rules. On conclusion, the presidency and bureaucracy maintain a delicate balance. Presidents must lead, innovate, and execute their agenda. At the same time, the bureaucracy brings subsistence, continuity, and expertise. Political appointees and civil servants each play vital roles, and sometimes clash. Bureaucratic resistance can impede change, but it also defends legality and mission. Understanding this dynamic helps explain why presidential vision meets complex realities in executing public policy.